I was just reading today on the internet that there is now $1 trillion of credit card debt in the United States. That's according to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. That is a lot of debt. And then it said that the average credit card balance was somewhere around $6,500 or so. And that was what the average American was carrying on their balance. Of course, who knows how many other credit cards. They could have numerous credit cards. So if you figure like 18% interest, you might be paying close to like maybe $100 a month in interest charges, possibly. Maybe more, depending on what your rate is. And also, that would just be with one card. If you have numerous cards, obviously, that's going to be a lot of money. But, $1,200 a year in just interest rates, finance charges on your credit card debt. That's incredible. So if you are in any type of credit card debt, there are ways to get out of it. You can get out of it. It might take a little bit. It might be a sacrifice for how you're going to get out of it. For example, you're going to have to probably give up things like going out to eat, gym memberships, Starbucks, entertainment, anything that just really is not necessary. You really have to take a close look at and say, okay, I might have to cut this out. Netflix, cable, all those things are huge add-ons to your budget every month. Obviously, you can't cut out things like food and utilities and your mortgage payment and things like that. But you really have to take a look at other things and see what you can cut out and what you can do without. And I know it's hard because, let's face it, we want to enjoy things. We work hard, and it's nice to be able to pull up maybe to a Starbucks and go get something, or maybe go out to lunch or dinner or go out on the weekends. And that, it's no fun. I mean, it does. That kind of ruins all your fun. But if you have credit card debt, it's really important to find a way out of it. So I would say, and these are just some of my opinions, but the first thing I would say is to quit putting any more money on your credit card completely. So if you have reoccurring subscriptions or something, maybe you need to move that over. Well, first of all, you probably are going to have to cancel those. But if it's something that you can't cancel, you might want to move it over to your bank account if you can do that. So it just comes directly out of your bank account and it doesn't become something that you're going to be paying interest on. It was funny because somebody mentioned that one time. We were talking about store credit cards. When you go in and they say, hey, you can save like, I don't know how much, like 10% today if you open up a store credit card. The problem with that is you think, maybe right then you make the purchase and then they're like, oh, you just saved, I don't know, $50 today. And you're thinking, wow, I am so smart. Look at me. I just saved $50. But then what happens is that credit card comes due, and if you do not pay it or you're late or something to that effect, next thing you know, there goes your savings. And the store credit card, oh my gosh, their interest rates are so high. It is just never a good idea to open up a store credit card, ever, at all. So getting back to the regular credit card, so there are some things that you can do. First of all, like I said, I would quit charging anything on it at all. Take a look at your recurring expenses and see what you can move over to your regular bank account. the next thing you can do is you can call up the credit card company and you can ask them if they can give you a lower rate. Believe it or not, they actually can do that for you sometimes. A lot probably is going to depend on how long you've been a customer. Do you normally make your payments on time and things like that? Because they are more likely to do that if you're a good customer. So you can ask them, and sometimes they can do something. You could also let them know that maybe you have another offer of another credit card with a lower rate. Say, hey, I was thinking about moving it over there. Do you think there's anything that you can do for me? And they might do it because if you're a good customer, they don't want to lose your business, because obviously they make a lot of money, especially if you're paying interest every month. So they don't want to lose your business. So it's possible that they might do that for you. The other possible thing to do is, if you do have any credit card offers of 0% or lower than what you're currently paying, take a look at what that is. And I'll say this, read the fine print, because it's very tricky sometimes. You'll get an envelope and it'll say 0% balance transfer. And they think, oh, great, this will be great. And then you look and it's only for like 3 months or something. And then the interest rate goes back up to close to what you are at right now. And that's not a very good deal, because depending on what your balance is, you have to pay a fee to transfer your credit card over. And I think it's either like 3 to 5%, depending on, I believe, what your balance is. So you could end up spending a couple $100 to transfer that over to a new credit card. And you also have to see what the rate would be after that promotional time is over. And also, you have to figure, is it possible that you could pay off your credit card in maybe 3 or 4 months? Because then you might as well just stay with where you're at, try to get a lower rate if you can, and just pay it off and don't even bother. But you really do have to read that fine print, because they can kind of trick you a little bit. It sounds like a good deal until you read it. I would probably stick with credit cards that have a better reputation. You can kind of read up on the internet on some that are good, or maybe if it's a new card that you've never dealt with before, maybe look and see if there's any reviews or anything like that, and just kind of check it out and see if it's worthy of doing that. Because if you're not familiar with how they work, you might just want to stay put. So, but if you could do that, take your largest balance, if you have numerous credit cards, and maybe take your largest balance, the one you're paying the most interest on, and move it over there. That's always a possibility. Another possibility, too, and I should say right now, it's always a good idea to check with, my disclaimer, to check with maybe somebody at the bank, a financial advisor. If you have a lot of debt and you're going to make some big moves, it's always a good idea to check with somebody where you can say, here's what I have going on, here's how much debt I have, what should I do? So it is always good to check. But what you could do is you could also, if you have money in savings, take the money out of savings and pay off your credit card completely, because you're always probably going to be paying more on your interest charges on the credit card than you're going to make in the bank. And that is a good one. But you have to make sure that if you pay off your credit card, you don't go back to charging on your credit card, and now you just took money out of your savings account. So you have to be sure that you're not going to kind of get into that whole credit card debt again with it. But what's interesting is I was watching this show one time, and somebody was talking, it was something about credit card debt, and the person was saying, oh, I have, what was it? Let's say $3,000 in credit card debt, but I have $5,000 in the bank. And they felt like they were doing okay because they had the $5,000 in the bank. But the expert said, well, you really don't have $5,000 in the bank. Technically, you really only have like $2,000 because you have a debt of $3,000 that you have to pay off. So you really only have $2,000. And I thought, wow, yeah, I never really thought about it like that. And so ever since I heard that, I always thought about that after, and that's true. What's your debt? So that is something to think about. So one of the things, though, that I think is very important is if you are in a lot of credit card debt, you still need to open up your statements and take a look every month when they come in and look at them and see what you're paying and acknowledge it. Acknowledge your debt and look at it, because if you don't, it becomes too easy to just kind of not deal with it. And I know that it's not any fun to look at all that debt that you might have to pay and you're trying to figure it out, but that really is kind of a good way to just say, all right, I'm doing this. I can't ignore this. I need to get out of debt. And you might even take a sheet of paper and write down what your debt is on your credit cards and how much interest you're paying. So you kind of know, okay, which card do I need to get rid of as soon as possible? Now, one of the good ways to do it that a lot of people like, and I like this myself, is if you do have numerous credit cards and you have debt, a lot of times what people will do is they will try to pay off the small ones first and just get rid of them. Maybe you have a credit card, one that has like $300 on it. Just try to get rid of that one. So now all of a sudden you don't have to pay that one anymore. And then take the money that you were paying on that and apply it to make a bigger minimum payment, because you really need to pay over the minimum payment to start to make a dent. So whatever your minimum payment is, you need to try to pay over it. Whatever you can do. The other thing you can do with that also is you can pay the credit card company sometimes more than once a month. Now, some of them will limit a little bit on how many times you do that. They might let you do it once. But if you have a little extra money, maybe you sold something and you say, you know what, I'm going to take this money and I'm applying it to that credit card, and I'm going to do it right now because I don't want to spend it or anything like that. So that's another way that you can do it. It takes discipline to do this, but it's possible. It's all possible to do. But you really do have to be very aware of what's going on with all your credit cards, how much you owe, and get yourself on a budget so you can try to knock it down somehow. If you can sell items, if you can take a second job, those are always good possibilities. Maybe you have some things sitting around that you wanted to sell and you don't use it anymore. So those are things you can do. There's a lot of different ways that you can probably come up with that you can maybe make a little extra money and try to pay the credit card off sooner. But it's possible. People do it all the time. They get out of debt and they feel great. And if you have credit card debt, you will feel great once you are able to pay it off or get close to paying it off. At least you're on track and you're doing it. So it's possible. It really is. You just have to make a plan. You can't ignore it. You have to face it. And it doesn't mean that you can't ever go out and enjoy yourself again. It's just for the moment. You try to get yourself out of debt. And then maybe after that, you're on a budget anyways. You probably, well, first of all, once you get out of credit card debt, you probably are not going to want to go back into credit card debt for sure. But don't be fooled by everybody out there who has a lot of nice things and everything. A lot of them are probably carrying a credit card debt or a lot of payments to kind of show a certain lifestyle. So don't get caught up in it and think that, oh, I can't go out and do this. Don't worry about it. Just try to get yourself out of credit card debt and you'll feel much better about it, and you can start putting it towards savings, and you won't be spending all this money on all those interest charges every month. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one.